My name is Jānis. I'm from Vendon. I'm currently account executive, but part of my job is also teaching customers how to deal with our systems, what they can see, what are things to be set up, and other things. Maybe let's give a minute or two still for people joining, but I think we could also slowly start. Today's topic is about payments. Payments is very huge system from each vending operators or operators life, because following your cash situation, following your sales, following like what is happening in your business, especially with your money, is one of the main things why telemetry systems were implemented in general. Because if we look back at times before telemetry systems, you would not be able to see your cash situation, your sales, until you visit the machine and read counters from that machine. So cash is big pillar of each of vending operators' life, and this is what I'm going to be talking about today. With cash systems, there are several issues related that we are solving, and like one of the issues is if you have different cashless systems, different have to look in several systems to understand what is actually happening in your business. With Vendon Cloud, this is being solved because we always connect between vending or coffee machine and payment systems. So all the transactions are going through us, and you don't have to physically visit your machine anymore. We can see all all the transactions that are going through with our system, and that way we can control also what is happening and what to do. As I said, if you are using different and many kinds of payment systems, it is usually also related to this big work that you have to put in before understanding situation. And my guess is that while you are doing this, the cash situation have already changed. So another advantage for telemetry and cloud systems in general is that most of the time you can get like real-time data. As soon as someone gets his snack or coffee, at that moment the payment is registered or the transaction is registered in the system, and at the same time you can already start seeing and planning what you need to do with that. Either you need to collect cash, or you have to fill products, or you have to send some people for checking a machine. But yeah, that gives you options. And third, maybe issue limited to when using different payment systems is that you also don't really see the full picture of your business. Like what are the most selling products? What are the best selling locations? What is what you can do? Where's your machines in general located? So all of these things are being solved with telemetry systems. Vendon Cloud can do that as well. In particular, what is interesting about our cloud is that you can access different sort of, or you can see different sorts of transactions. For example, from these different cashless systems, all of them are traveling through Vendon telemetry box. So we can also differentiate which is the manufacturer of cashless system, what are the payments. You can filter out specific payment options, which I'm going to be showing you from the Vendon Cloud. The main advantage of our own payment systems is that we can also void payments directly from the Vendon Cloud. This is very commonly used amongst my customers because they have the dedicated support teams. Sometimes in vending business, it is quite common problem that let's say a machine is out of the product and person pressed something wrongly, or it just something got stuck and people are calling companies and saying, hey, I want my money back because I didn't get the product. And this is huge advantage of our system because we can, with one click, we can refund money. It returns to customer immediately, the same day, usually. And yeah, everyone is happy. With older process or with when using other payment systems, it is a bit different because usually you have to reach out to payment system provider. You have to tell them exact transaction number, date, machine, all sorts of information, and then it takes some time for them to process your request. It takes some time to refund money. So at the end of the day, customer don't receive their funds back at the same day or same time. I have also heard that some companies doesn't even bother to refund through payment system provider, cashless provider. They just send money back directly from the company account, and that way they lose money. Okay, let's jump to the cloud part where I can show you a bit more how the payments work, what we can see, what we cannot see, what is there. We have built our cloud in two big levels, two big parts. One is your whole business together, where what we can see here, basically we can see how many machines are working and operational. Maybe some have errors, some have stock level issues. What are the products? But yeah, this is the main dashboard where you can understand, in general, full picture what is happening. But of course, you can dig deeper in each machine, in each section. You can do quite sophisticated reporting with all of this because you have all the data. You have all the data. Everything is there. For payment systems, my plan is to discuss a bit about coin changes, then cashless payments, and also free coffees or free office solutions, let's say, because it's also a very common product of Vendon, where you can limit the consumption of the drinks or snacks with the closed loop solutions. That way, you can just give snacks or free coffees, like 2 free coffees per day on each NFC card that customer have. And this was especially getting more popular after COVID because people started to return to offices. So businesses had to start to give more benefits or have better visibility on consumption. Okay, so let's start with the coin changers. Coin changers are quite simple units. There's nothing too complicated there, and usually with newer generation coin changers, we can see situation with coin changer, and it sends information as soon as we connected it to telemetry unit. With older versions, 10, 15 years older versions, sometimes there might be issues, and we can also connect to coin changer around it, but that's a bit different and more technical topic. Yes, but so usually when we connect coin changers, we start to see real cash in machine situation because we can read the sensors in the coin changer itself. We can understand the tube levels, and as soon as we have that information, it would show also in the cloud. This is a demo account for showing information. There's no real coin changers attached to some of these machines. Then also the cashing machine is currently showing not available, but I will show you how it looks with real machines, with real coin changers. So there are several things that we can see from the machine. For example, we can see also like if it's powered on, if you have signal, what are the stock levels, the regular stuff of the let's say vending machines, but also we can follow a cash-in machine situation. Yeah, this number is not real because someone is testing some modifications. But let's, for example, check this Marriott hotel snack machine. This is what usually like real and operational machine looks like. You have your sales information. You can also check counters of that machine. This turns to be like seems like €1 per one product, so it matches matches the revenue, but the coin situation or coin changer situation is already showing on this machine. We can read the sensors and depending on like tube amount in the coin changer, we can also understand, or you can also state what sort of coin nominals you are using, 5, 10 cents. Some customers are using also €2 coins, but that comes from coin changer, all the specification. But what we can see how much money is in the coin changers. This is one specific machine, but if we think about whole business together, then this is quite important information, because if you imagine that you have like 1,000 machines and each of the machines are containing 50, 70 euros, it's already quite a large money they will be able to get when they do encashment of the machines, right? So this information helps a lot for them. And if we talk about sales and cash situation in general, for the same machine, let's choose sales over like maybe this month. And then we can also understand first what specifically was bought, at what timestamps, what times, and we can also differentiate what sort of payment mechanism was used, either cash or card payments. For incoming payments, we have like quite a few options that we can state there. It could be also free payment, cashless on other section or other channel payment, NFC card payments, and so on. You can also differentiate if you build your own application, for example, and send credit to the machine, like let's say digital money. You could also be able to see these transactions in this machine. As we see here, for month of April, this machine had 250 cash sales, 79 cashless sales. What is total amount? Different VAT amounts, percentages. So this is what we can follow. Then the next important thing to understand, or how we can understand cash situation in your business, is using different sort of reporting tools. Regarding reporting, we have built tools for following your product levels, tools for following your cash situation, tools for planning things ahead, and you can also build these reports yourself if you need them automated. And okay. So this is transaction log. It basically shows you what is happening in your business currently. As we see, the timestamps, they are listed in growing order, starting from the latest. And we can also see here different types of payments or payment systems used. Is either free vend, free drinks, or free snacks, cash, cashless, and so on. We can also filter out by these sales types. Usually there is even a bit more options to select, but basically you can choose either cash sales, or you can choose cash and cashless sales. You don't care about free vend sales, free sales. So different types of filtering options. And if you have these filtering options, you can very specifically understand what is happening with, let's say, specific customer machines, specific locations. You can also tag machines, which is very common amongst our customers. For example, you have all the universities in specific region. You can tag your machine university machines, and then by these tags, you can filter out and understand what is happening. As we see here, quite a lot of tags available for us. Let's choose, for example, tag coffee machines, confirm transactions, and we have full overview of machines with tag coffee machine, and we can see different types of payments used. On the bottom of the page, you have full overview of your system. We can see what exact cash sales there was, what is how much cashless sales was made, free sales, and so on. So all of this helps you plan your business, understand your business, control your business better. And what is important, all of this information can also be exported in Excel files or PDF files. So if you have your own systems where you need to put information, or you want to work with analytics of these transactions, you can also work in Excel. I think I showed you everything about this section. Let's go to sales overview. So sales overview is a bit different from previous section that we looked at, because sales overview is tool to understand your full business picture in by monthly split. Yeah, so we can see April sales. Let's choose the same, let's say, coffee machines again, and we see all the sales. But also in this log, you can see you can choose specific sales types. For example, let's choose cashless sales, which is card sales presented at the machines. So this gives you an overview of how much of card sales your business is generating each day. Sometimes this helps customers to decide about specific locations, about machine size maybe. They can also check what sort of products are the best sellers for these days and these machines. But yeah, this is another tool that helps you understand your cash situation, your sales situation. If we scroll down, you see the total sales amount for these specific filters. And if we move further, then the main topic of today's webinar is about cash situation, cash sales, and everything related to cash. As this is the demo account, most of the Cashbox information will be empty. So this is a point where I will show you real customer data from cloud, but I just hid information about customer because we cannot share that. This is how real business would work. We see that it was last updated yesterday, this information, so it's quite recent, and it would show you how much of coins you have in coin changer, how much cash you have in Cashbox, because when coin changer is when it have enough change money, it will drop coins directly to Cashbox. So these two parts, value of cubes and Cashbox, is actually what is real physical money in your vending machine or coin changer, we'll say, or Cashbox. Yeah, and total information about cash in the machine. As we see, the same filtering options are possible. You can choose and understand situation with your coins and cash in general by filtering out tags, by choosing specific machine. If you need to choose like this or that machine, you can choose also like maybe 5 machines manually if you need them. You can also filter out by clients or locations, but in general, this will give you overview how much like actual real cash is in your business. If we look closer, this is the same information already showed you in different machines, but this is from real machine. So we would see the coin nominals. We could see how many coins are in the tube and what is the cash in these tubes, and also how much cash has been dropped into Cashbox since last encashment made. If we talk about encashment, it's also quite important thing. Encashment is a process when you take out the cash from the vending machines. With this comes another thing we are usually solving, or we had some cases where customers approach us because it was not important for them to have like all the reporting tools, all the information, real-time data. All they wanted to know and understand if the employees are not stealing money from the cash box, which is really important thing. Yeah, there had been some cases where there is maybe one or two bad persons in the company which are stealing money, and you have to understand at what moment, how much, and yeah, the, the reporting tools or telemetry can give you that. But if you look at the good cases, not only stealing, but actually encashment data is something that you can also register if you go to bank, and if you have these collected cash by each machine, then it's also easier for you to understand. You don't have to count it again. You have like box of certain amount of money. If we say at current machine that I'm showing, like you collected 104.85 euros. So this is exact amount that should be in the box. You can give this to bank. They can it's easier for everyone if you have this sort of data already gathered. I know that some of my customers are collecting cash, and they are marking each like cash box with this exact data that is stated in the system, and they have told that it's super easy to work this way because all the refillers return from their routes. They put the cash boxes in safe, and then when comes the company that collects money, it's quite easy for them to provide them information how much cash there is actually across all the few hundred collected boxes or bags. Yeah, so this is encashment. We can also see which was the person which was assigned to this machine for collecting cash, and different sort of things which would help to understand what's actually happening. So now I will be switching again to a bit different account. So I'm able to show you this return of the money. That is very important also topic. Give me a second, please. Why I have to switch to different account is because this is with actually real Vendon card reader with the made real card, and yeah, this is a bit different. Okay. So I have opened our office account where we have only 3 machines registered, and one of the machines is our Franke A600, where we can see transactions And yeah, if I choose reports and this transaction log, let's choose the Vendon Franke machine for today. We see actually transactions and authorizations of card being made at this machine. This part of Vendor Cloud, this is very commonly used by our customer support teams, because when there is money stuck or product have not been given, usually customers call and uh, operators have their own system how they mark machines. Like usually they have some sort of number, they have location, or they have different ways how to quickly understand which is this machine that customer is calling about. And usually they say, I choose this or that snack. It got stuck. What we can do about it? This like gives you benefit of like you can quickly find the machine that customer is speaking about. You can find transaction type, and uh, usually with real payments and using Vendon payment systems, we have like different information. As we see, card data, of course, is not visible because of the security. But yeah, you have like last four digits of the card. With the phone payments, it might differ because the phone does another encryption of the payment when it comes to our system. But the main thing is that you can understand what machine customer is talking about, what was the drink or snack that was wrong for him. And from this system, you can see you can just drop down and press void. Let's cancel this transaction. Let's say it was test, but it can also be like a stock product or any different reason. We press confirm, and at this moment, the person receives his funds back. Usually, it happens even during the call, like customer is speaking with operator. Operator press this void button. He checks his phone, and funds are back. Sometimes it might be like maybe 5 or 10 minutes before refund is done, but it's definitely way quicker than if you would have to reach out to your payment provider. You have to explain situation. You have to give all the same information about like transaction date, timestamp, product, and so on. So yeah, it's quite beneficial actually of Vendon payments. I know this being why some customers are switching from different payment provider to our system. The same or bit more information would be also in the authorization log. Authorization log shows you all the times when card was presented to card reader. We see that there is some cancelled payments, and we see also the last one that I reversed just now is also there. Yes, that was shortly about like coin and cashless payments, how you can understand. Another third thing, maybe smallest in the vending business usually, but it's also quite important, is we call it QuickPick, but basically it's closed loop solutions where you can give different benefits to different groups. With our systems, we have two options how we can grant this. One is using QR code at the machine. You just scan this code with our application called QuickPick, where you can set up different benefits. Or other way would be to use our card reader. You have like NFC card. Usually, customers have office entrance cards or tags, and the same card that opens your doors, we can give like free drinks or free snacks to the same card. In our cloud, we have options to give free products, to give discounted products, virtual money on the card, or specific fixed amount. This is like specifically 50 cents of the full price. Yeah, and you can also choose what happens when customers scan for first time. I know that some customers are also using this as uh, like small benefits, like first coffee is for free for us on us, and then you have to pay for the second or third coffee, for example. Or also another use case is, for example, when some operators, to get better locations, they give free drinks or free products for the location owners as some sort of part of the payment, and other people have to pay full price for the product. So some persons have benefits, some not, and yeah, another maybe very good use case, I know it's very common, is when you have machine in a public place, for example, hospital. All the people that come to hospital have to pay for the coffee, but for example, all the employees have free coffee there. So you can put this free coffee on their NFC card, or you can also use this application, and that way you can provide free drinks, free credit on these users. Um, yeah, I think I have covered most of the topics about payment systems that I planned. Uh, yeah, I think we can move to a questions part if there is any. I see some in the chat. What happens in the system when a coin gets stuck or product is not delivered? In Vendon Cloud, we have also events. We can see events happening with machine. Some of machines can report that there is an event of stock coin, so you can put attention to it. I have also seen cases where older contributors are not reporting any information. So if you stick something like, I don't know, stick or wire in the contributor, just block the part where the coin should drop, and it's not possible to have alert on these. But yeah, most of modern contributors are quite smart. They have a lot of sensors, and we can see in the system if the coins are stuck. Then the second part, if product is not delivered, I think I covered that one. Yeah, usually customers call operator support service, and they say that they didn't get the product, so yeah, they can get their money back if they made payment. How do I find one specific transaction if a customer calls? So finding specific transaction usually is already system that the operators are they made before a system. They have these machine numbers. They have specific locations. From my personal experience is that when you have to reach support and you tell that this is machine 421 in front of me, and I just didn't get my cappuccino because there was no milk. Usually they find in our system. It's a matter of how you name your machines, how you use locations, and how much information you put in the system for your own convenience. Another question: how quickly does the refund reach the customer bank or card? Usually it happens immediately, right away. There might be some maybe 10, 20 minutes delay because of the connectivity questions, because of the speed of signal and so on. Usually it happens quite fast. If customer calls and in some cases they have like, yesterday I didn't got my drink when the transaction is already settled in accounts, then the process is a bit longer, but it's still one click, and customer gets his money maybe in a few days. If it was too late, if he is not at the machine anymore, but that's happening very rarely. Yeah, I think this was the last questions from the chat. Maybe anything else?
Yeah, I have another question. I was just typing it, but before you close the session, if I would want to implement it with the QR code, is it then backwards compatible that I have the machines in the field? Am I able
Yes,
to give them?
Usually there's no issues about this QR code system because we give QR code to our own telemetry unit, and that way we can send credit to this specific unit. It's not so much related to your machines, but you have to keep in mind that maybe older machines don't have function of receiving incoming credit like from digital channel. That's in very rare cases. Usually there's no problems with these systems, but it will differ between different manufacturers. I think most of the manufacturers that we see in Europe and the States are compatible with such system with QR code, and it's quite easy to set up. You don't have to change anything in your machine. You don't have to install anything. It's matter of settings of our own unit.
Okay, good to know. Thank you.
Okay, if we covered all the questions, and or maybe you have another question after this meeting, you can easily reach me on my email, Jānis.Kuganieks@vendon.net, or you can also find us through Vendon.net webpage where we have all the contact information. No problem if you send me questions later on, or you have something specific that you wanted to ask. Other ways, that was it about our payment systems, about payment systems in general, and how they are visible from the Vendon Cloud. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for coming, and have a good evening ahead.